Hello everybody, welcome to the Fabulous Picture Show and this special screening of Sin Nombre. Big round of applause for the filmmaker here. This is Cary Fukunaga.
Thank you.
By the way, it's his birthday, everybody. Woohoo!
Yeah.
21 today.
I can drive now.
So tell us about your film.
Well, you guys are going to watch Sin Nombre, which is my first feature. It came out of a short film I did while at film school at NYU about a group of immigrants that were abandoned in a trailer in Texas. And while doing research for that film, I learned about immigrants crossing Central America on freight trains. And it's something I never thought of and never imagined was taking place so close to the U.S. borders. Because before, I guess, for me the topic was always about the U.S. border and not what happened beforehand.
Sin Nombre, or Without a Name, is the story of migrant Syra and gang member Casper, who on a standard smash-and-grab raid decides to save Syra's life by dispatching the gang's boss. The gang, the notorious Mara Salvatrucha, bandits who prey upon Mexico's immigration routes, are now hot on Casper's trail.
Yo sé del güey que están buscando.
To research his first feature, which won him Best Director at Sundance, Cary Fukunaga spent time in Mexican prisons and train yards, meeting migrants and gang members, including a 30-hour journey across Mexico on top of a freight train. The film's producers include the numero uno stars of the Mexican wave, actors Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal. It certainly reflects the sort of filmmaking that Gael is passionate about and gives a totally different perspective, and that is how you distinguish between, you know, South Americans themselves. We often see them as a monolith, but you show that there is internal racism.
There's definitely a sense that the immigrants are taken advantage of along the way. That does happen, and then there's a whole microeconomy around it. One of the things I found interesting, besides just how immigrants are treated in Mexico, but within the countries themselves, like Honduras, the young actor who plays Willie in this film, Edgar Mauricio Flores, within Honduras, he's considered to be trigueño because he has black features, so he's actually considered to be black. For that reason, you know, like there are girls who are actually darker skinned than him, but they wouldn't date him because he's darker than them.
According to his features.
Right.
Wow.
¿Dónde está muerta Marlene?
Se fue.
A su casa.
Se la llevó la bestia.
Edgar was a non-actor. He'd never ever been in anything. I mean, you hadn't even done a commercial, had he? Nothing.
No, he did a PSA on HIV awareness that he got. I don't even know how he stumbled into that. And I think even through the entire film shoot, I don't think he read anything but the scenes he was in. So when he saw the film in Sundance in January, he started crying from the first 3 minutes because he didn't realize what he was doing. And he cried all the way to the end. And it was like one of those situations where it was like sympathy criers all around. So the entire cast was crying. They shut up. They couldn't even say anything on stage because everyone was like, had snot and tears coming down their face.
You also used some certainly former gang members in the film, didn't you? Can you tell us one of those scenes? They're
in there. It's kind of like Where's Waldo? You're going to have to figure out where they are in the story. But there are a few real gang members in there. I would say our main cast are not gang members for the safety of their future.
Estos son el Pícaro y el Smoking. Acaban de llegar. Van y vienen para ver cómo están los pedos y las clicas.
There's some mad war masks, though. The makeup lady must have had a great time.
We had a makeup army. It was like a small company of people there who were in charge of, including real tattoo artists who were.
That's how they really look.
Yeah, it's all based on real tattoos. We had to change everything just a little bit for life rights issues, but it's all based on real stuff. There's no, as you'll see, there's no tribal tattoos in there. It's very specific iconography.
Hey, mira mi chucho.
How difficult was it to work with the gangs and get them to trust you and tell you their stories, really, and their history?
Working with the gang was more on an individual basis. So it was going to the prisons and trying to find individuals, some active and some non-active in the gang, who were willing to share their stories and try to find the ones who I felt were being the most honest. They turned out to be really good copy editors, and were able to look at our Spanish script and completely rearrange the language so that it was more like they would speak. The particular Spanish that the gang speaks is full of metaphors. It's very...
And slang written, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean metaphors in the sense like they'll use an entire phrase to describe cooking beans means something else.
Vamos a ir todos y acapararlo de una vez. ¿Ah?
No, homie. El agua no está como para frijoles.
And basically what he's saying is we can't do that. We have to stay here. That's not all right. That's not a good decision. So it's like, how do you make a subtitle for that?
Mándame para buscarlo y para matarlo.
Smiley's played by Kristen Ferrer, who's also a young, up-and-coming Mexican actor.
12 years old at the time.
Yeah, I think he's 14 now. From shooting the film, or from finishing the shooting to doing the dubbing, his voice had changed. And I talked to him on the phone. He's like, Carrie, something's changed. I'm like, yeah, I noticed.
I'm an actor.
Yes, so we had to do a lot of pitching to fix his voice.
¿Quién lleva la palabra?
Yo mero.
Soy Smiley de la Confetti.
¿Estás tinteado?
That scene where Smiley is inaugurated into the gang, I mean, it's certainly one of your strongest images, and it's the beginning of the film, and you think, whoa, I'm about to go on a deep ride. No wonder some people walked out in Sundance.
Uno.
I didn't think that was violent until I saw it with an audience.
I mean, the whole 1 to 13, let's count how many hits we can give him.
3. 4.
And then that fantastic shot of his face when he emerges, and he's kind of smiling.
Carmen, mira el cipote, todo sonriente.
That scene where he's beat up, before we were shooting, he was off on the side prepping for it and getting ready. He was already crying on the side. And Tenoch Huerta, who plays Lil Mago, the guy with the tattoos, comes up to me. He's like, Carrie, you see that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, we got to shoot now. I'm like, you're right. So
how does that affect a child actor? How do they disconnect from that?
He has a really present mother and a very solid structure. I think he has a great future because he's professional and he really just goes 110%.
So that attack scene, how long did that take to do, and how difficult was that? Because
that scene is actually, we didn't do that on a real train. We built these sort of fake carcasses of real trains. And we took that out to a country road. And the rain is not rain towers, it's 2 hoses full of water. And we had about 50 or 60 extras, many of whom were real immigrants.
If you could just talk about the theme of family and how you kind of juxtapose the family with the gang.
I think that the idea of family, when we talk about family, we usually think of it as a solid, protective way. But I think there are many forms of destructive families as well. And so I think there's something to show for the sometimes kind but sometimes abusive forms of family and friendship.
Ahora perteneces a una familia con miles de hermanos. Donde quiera que vaya, siempre habrá alguien que se encargue de usted.
also about the issue of absentee families. Smiley lacks male role models. He's looking for direction, and one of the most poignant scenes for me is when he's sitting next to the water with his friends. And you can see he thinks he's so manly, and he's holding that gun.
¡Wow! ¡Qué chulada! ¿Cuántos traes?
Lo suficiente para matarlos todos ustedes.
When I was doing the research, I met a lot of kids in the gang that were like adolescents, young adolescents, and some of them had already had tattoos, and even when I met some kids on the street who are gang members, you just see the younger generation is sort of like an assembly line, this sort of inevitable sort of replacing of generations. And it's necessary for the gang survival that young people are recruited.
Mátatelo a escondidas. Mátatelo a escondidas.
La mala salvatrucha.
6 years to make your feature film, pretty much the process. So you got another 6 years.
But
in
I'm
you?
still only 21, so.
That's right. Happy birthday once again. What do you think?
I think the next one will hopefully go faster. I'm writing right now, and I am writing a musical.
Can you tell us anything about the musical?
Contemporary, but it'll have elements of a fantasy world, and it's a tragic love story, sort of in the spirit of a Hans Christian Andersen tale, so pre-Disney.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Do you? I think we have somebody pretty talented in our presence, and we hope you make another film. Are you agreed on that? Please, let's thank you so much, Carrie Fukunaga. Thank you so much for coming.
Luego fui con mi amiga Clarisa a casa de mi vecina. Era bruja. Me dijo con voz de miedo: vas a llegar a los Estados Unidos, pero no de la mano de Dios, sino de la garra del diablo.
Well, that is it for this Fabulous Picture Show, and as you can see, we're finishing the show with the mic. We started the show with the mic, but this is perfect for a musical. Doesn't this sound natural to you, your next film?
It does. Should we harmonize something right now?
What would you suggest?
No, I'm just kidding.
That's it for the Fabulous Picture Show. That was the theme song, if you didn't know.
Oh.
Come to the Doha Tribeca Film Festival.
I would love to. I just got to ask, my mom's permission.
Please, Mum.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this film and why?
I'd probably give this film about 11 out of 10 easily.
I just found the film so